Michael had started to fear looking at the clock at night, because almost every night it was the same: 3:07, 3:14, 3:21. For nearly 8 months, he kept waking up at the exact same hour. And the strange part was, he wasn't technically sick. He still slept, still worked, still answered emails. But every morning, his body felt a little heavier than the night before. Not pain exactly, just a quiet feeling, like his energy was slowly leaking out of him while he slept. Michael told himself it was probably just age. He had no idea that a tiny nighttime habit from his elderly Asian neighbor was about to completely change the way his body rested. And the strange thing was, it didn't begin with medication, or a sleep app, or advice from a doctor. It began with a basin of warm water. Michael was 59. He lived alone in a quiet suburb outside Seattle. During the day, he still looked functional enough. He drank coffee, answered messages, went to work, and whenever someone asked how he was doing, he always gave the same answer: "I'm fine." But nights had become different. Michael couldn't remember the last time he woke up feeling truly rested. Every evening followed the same pattern: lights off, eyes closed. Then suddenly, awake again. 3:12 a.m. Outside the window, soft rain tapped against the glass. Inside the room, the only light came from the faint red glow of the digital clock beside his bed. Michael had tried almost everything: new pillows, blackout curtains, turning the TV off earlier. Some nights, he even poured himself a little whiskey just to force his body to relax. But the mornings always felt the same: heavy shoulders, foggy thoughts, a body that never seemed to fully recover. And what scared him most was this: he was starting to feel himself aging. From the inside, not in the mirror, inside his body. One cold winter evening, Michael noticed the house next door still glowing softly around 9 o'clock. His elderly Japanese neighbor was awake again. She was nearly 80. Her kitchen light carried this calm, golden warmth, the kind of light that somehow made everything feel slower. No television, no phone, no noise. Just a small wooden stool beside the window, a folded towel, and a wooden basin releasing gentle steam into the air. Michael watched from across the fence. The old woman placed several slices of ginger into the water, then a pinch of salt. After that, she quietly lowered her feet into the basin and sat there for about 15 minutes, doing absolutely nothing else. No scrolling, no talking, no distractions, just stillness. When she finished, she dried her feet carefully with the towel, then turned off the kitchen light and went to bed. Michael didn't understand why. But the next morning, while he stood exhausted in his kitchen pouring his second cup of coffee, his neighbor was already outside walking slowly through the neighborhood. Slow, but light. Lighter than him. The next night, Michael woke again at 3:16, and the next morning, he saw her walking again in the rain. Warm water, steam, ginger, quiet. Every night, every morning. Michael didn't believe in miracle healing rituals, but eventually, he became curious. Not because the old woman explained anything, but because her body seemed to answer the question for her. One afternoon at work, Michael caught himself staring at the same email for nearly 5 full minutes. Not because it was difficult, his mind just felt tired in a way coffee couldn't fix anymore. That frightened him more than he wanted to admit. That night, he decided to try it. He filled a small basin with warm water, not too hot, just enough to feel comforting. He sliced a little ginger, added a small pinch of salt, Steam slowly curled upward into the quiet kitchen air. The smell of ginger spread gently through the room. Michael lowered his feet into the water. At first, he almost laughed at himself, a grown man, nearly 60, soaking his feet with ginger at 9 o'clock at night. But after a few minutes, something strange happened. His shoulders slowly dropped. The tension in his neck loosened. Warmth spread upward from the soles of his feet, slowly, quietly. Not sharp heat, just a calm warmth his body hadn't felt at night in a very long time. Michael soaked for about 15 minutes, no longer than that. Then he dried his feet carefully, a tiny detail he normally would have ignored. But somehow, with his feet warm and completely dry, his body felt like it had received a clear signal. The day was over now. That night, he still woke up around 3:18. But for the first time in months, he didn't panic. He didn't grab his phone, didn't lie there mentally replaying tomorrow's problems. He simply stayed still and eventually fell asleep again. By the third night, Michael found himself looking forward to those 15 quiet minutes. Not because he believed they would magically cure him, but because it was the only part of the day where nobody needed anything from him. No emails, no notifications, no preparing for tomorrow, just warm water, soft kitchen light, rain outside the window, and silence. In many Asian homes, small nighttime rituals like this aren't treated as medicine. They're simply part of slowing the body down before sleep. Older generations quietly believe that a cold, overstimulated body struggles to truly rest. So before bed, they warm the feet, not to fix the body, just to gently tell it, "You're safe now. The day is finished." By the fifth night, Michael realized something unusual. When he woke up briefly in the middle of the night, he no longer reached for the clock immediately. He opened his eyes, listened to the rain, then drifted back to sleep. The next morning, he made coffee like always. But for the first time in months, he didn't drink it desperately. His body wasn't fully restored, but it no longer felt like it was sinking. Michael stepped outside onto the porch. Seattle was still cold, the sidewalks were still wet, and across the street, his elderly Japanese neighbor was walking slowly beneath a gray morning sky. This time, Michael no longer thought she looked strange. Now he understood something. The body doesn't just need sleep. Sometimes, it needs help feeling safe enough to rest. By the seventh night, Michael performed the ritual slowly. Warm water, a few slices of ginger, a little salt. 15 quiet minutes, a soft towel, then bed. That night, he didn't even remember falling asleep. The only thing he remembered was waking up before the alarm the next morning. The room was still dark. Rain still touched the windows, but his body no longer felt like it was being dragged downward by exhaustion. Not younger, not magically healed, just lighter. Like his body had finally rested a little. And maybe that was the real difference all along. Not the ginger, not the basin itself, but the way the evening had changed. Softer light, less noise, less stimulation, less pressure to immediately fall asleep while the mind still raced like daytime. Sometimes, a gentler ending to the night doesn't change your entire life overnight. But it may quietly teach the body something modern life keeps making it forget. That rest only happens when the body finally feels safe enough to let go. And maybe tonight, before bed, your body doesn't need another screen or another notification. Maybe it simply needs a quieter ending to the day. If stories like this help you slow down too, subscribe to Eastern Body Wisdom. There are still many small Eastern habits modern life seems to have quietly forgotten.